Welcome to this week's Ask Charlie, and to my Q&A. I asked on Instagram and I asked here on YouTube for you to ask me your questions and I would answer them. I try purposefully not to look at the questions in detail. I want my answers to be sort of off the cuff and without giving them too much thought. I have been inundated with questions, so let me know in the comments below if you would like me to do a part 2. And I'm going to answer as many questions as I can today without this being a really, really long video. So let me know if you would like me to film a part 2 and I can do that for next week. And I'm going to start in the order that they came in. The first question was from Claire. Are your boys away at boarding school? Yes, they are away at boarding school. They're at boarding school in Scotland, and it's a school that Simon went to, which is why it was on their radar, because I would often mention where, his school. And there was a documentary about the school, which our eldest son watched, and he said, I want to go there. It's a very different education. Both the boys are quite dyslexic, and we thought that it would be a really good option for them. They very much drove the choice. It was very much led by them. And I think as a parent, I never have wanted my children to feel that I've made them do anything. I want them to be in the driving seat. I want them to be hungry for whatever it is. A bit like Coco with her riding. It's her passion. Yes, riding is my passion, but I'd never have wanted to force it onto them. The boys weren't keen. They did ride when they were younger, but they weren't keen, and so I just let it go. But the boys very much wanted, well, Archie, the eldest, he went, has loved it. It's working really well for him. And Gus said, I want to go too. I showed him so many different options, and he was absolutely adamant that he was going as well. So yes, the boys are away at school. Coco could if she wanted to. She has that choice, and she very much wants to be at home with her horse, with her horses and riding. So, that is her choice. So we haven't sent the boys away and kept Coco at home. Some people sometimes think that might be the case, but it's not. So hopefully that answers that question. This one's, by the way, I love your channel. You are comforting and refreshing. Thank you, Claire. That means a lot. Then I have had a question from Joelle saying, can you talk us through the daily routine with your horses? Is it more challenging now with no arena? The horses at the moment are in at night and out during the day. We're really lucky. Our turnout is great here, and the fields are holding out really well, although it's coming to the end of winter. There's not really any grass for them, but we're feeding hay out in the paddocks. We're lucky we can hack to an arena, and we can easily load up and box to an arena, and the hacking here is far better than it was at our old house. So of course there are pros and cons, but it's working really well for us with the horses here. Hey Charlie, how do you prevent makeup from transferring to your shirt collar? I use a tissue and I just wipe my jawline once I've put my makeup on. As soon as I finish putting it on, before it kind of sets hard, I just lightly wipe, and that way I find it doesn't transfer onto a collar, and it's a really good little hack. Do you have any more renovation plans for your lovely new home? No, not at the moment. I think for the moment we are done. There are a few little bits that we would like to do in the garden, and we need to do a little bit down where the horses are. And we've got a muck trailer, but it's been so muddy we can't get that down there at the moment. And we've got some bits that we need to clear, but we're waiting for the ground to dry up. So that is all for the moment. There are a few soft furnishings I would like to do. I've got a chair that I would like to reupholster. Not me, myself. I have never reupholstered anything. But there are some curtains and things that I would like to make, and they're just like muslin curtains. I'm going to give making those a go. What has been one of the pleasant surprises you found since moving to the new house? Oh, there are so many, Laura. I love it here, and I think you guys can see that I am really, really happy here. I love not running a B&B anymore. I don't miss that at all. And actually, I prefer having less. Less is more. Like my larder cupboard, I did a TikTok and a YouTube short, and I think I shared it on Instagram as well. Having a small larder cupboard works really well. I thought I was going to miss the larder cupboard at the last house, but no, there was too much space, and there was too much space to kind of hide things around the corner, and then you'd forget what you had got. You would buy it again, and then you'd end up throwing things out. And this way, this larder cupboard, there is nothing that can get hidden away, and so there's no waste. So that is a huge positive. But there's been so many. I'm really, really very happy here. What are some of your favourite podcasts? Oh, I'm loving Rosebud. That I think, and I'll leave them linked in the description of this video. Rosebud. I love Liz Earle's podcast. I love How to Fail with Elizabeth Day. I love Gardener's Question Time. I love Table Manners, and I love Dish with Angela Hartnett and Nick. Those are probably my favourite that I listen to on a regular basis. Are you listening / reading any books, and what is the last one you really enjoyed? Now I need to click onto my Audible. I'm currently listening to The Seven Husbands of Evelyn Hugo. I've just started it, so I can't really comment. So far, I think so good. It always takes me a little while to get into a book. But I have just finished listening to My Favourite Mistake by Marian Keyes, and I absolutely loved it. So those are current books, Laura. Next question. How did you deal with your body changing through pregnancies? I am due on Saturday. Oh, Alice, congratulations, and very exciting. But it is such a change, and it is such a shock to the system. I remember when I saw my reflection in a mirror and I noticed stretch marks on my tummy for the first time, and that was quite a shock. And I got really, really bad stretch marks, horrific, from either hip bone to above my belly button and into my pubic hair. They were terrible, absolutely horrific. And that was quite a shock to the system. And then somebody said something to me that made me reframe it as a negative into a positive. And they were like, these are my special marks from carrying children, and I just embrace them. And that made me flip the narrative and embrace them. And I was proud that actually I'd carried my babies, and these were my memories. And it's hard, everything changes, and it's an adjustment, but I think you have to embrace it as a positive and as a different phase in your life. And just embrace it as best you can. But it is a shock to the system, definitely. And I used to have a really great figure with no scars, no stretch mark, and I didn't embrace it and love it then. I was always critical of myself. And then I've got all of these scars, stretch marks, scars from accidents, scars from surgery, and I just am what I am, and my body looks after me, and I embrace that, and it's my body and it's my story. And I think you can just change how you think about it and embrace it as a positive. Hopefully that helps, but it is a huge adjustment. How to always be chic when I'm constantly cold. Lots of layers, lots of layers. Like I've got a Breton stripe and a polo neck. I'm sitting by the fire. I have taken my long welly boot socks off, and popped my shoes on because I wanted to be a little bit more elegant rather than wearing my long socks. But I think lots of layers, and I think layers and knits and wrapping yourself in a blanket can be terribly chic. Right, next questions. What are your top tips for managing a toddler and a newborn? Annabelle, routine. I think we as adults thrive from routine, and children and babies are the same, and animals are the same. You know, my dogs know that it's getting to like 4, 4:30, and it's time for their supper. And we all love a routine, and babies and toddlers love a routine. So I think that is my top tip for you. And also, really good nap, sleep in bed once a day. And that quality sleep makes such a difference. Asleep in a pram, asleep in a car seat, asleep on the move isn't quality sleep, whereas sleep in your bed quietly makes a huge difference, and you're less likely to get overtired, irritable little ones. I really admire your high energy levels. Do you think you were just born that way? No. Exercise, trying to get a good night's sleep. I think being fit and being active gives you more energy. Definitely eating well and fueling my body with the right food makes such a difference. And I am using Simple app at the moment, and I will leave it linked down below because I've got 50% off. I have been feeling so much better since I've been using that, and I definitely have more energy. I'm eating really well. I'm doing intermittent fasting, which I thought would be a huge struggle, but I don't have my first meal until about 11:30, even 12 o'clock some days. And then I finish eating at about 7:30 in the evening. And I feel great from it. And I definitely am more energized. And eating the right things definitely makes a big difference, and leaves me less sluggish. Will you be riding Molly or Santana? So excited to see Molly. I don't know. I think Santana is off for a little bit of schooling at the moment. I haven't ridden Molly yet. Coco's on half term, and it's very much for her to bond. For me, at this time in my life, it's about being Coco's groom, helping her. I want to kind of just be a kind of helpful mum. I don't need to have my own horse and do my own thing. I can just exercise for Coco. So we will see. We will see what happens. But Molly seems really lovely, and I have really enjoyed riding Santana. And she's definitely nicer to ride than she is sort of on the ground. She's a bit feisty. She's not the most straightforward, whereas Molly seems really, really genuine and really straightforward. So I'm looking forward to riding her at some point. What is your favourite go-to dish, and what do you like to make for a special occasion? And that is from Hamilton. Hamilton, I think I love to cook a Sunday roast. And actually, we have just had a Sunday roast. We've just had some friends for a Sunday roast. And we had roast chicken and bread and butter pudding. And I love having everybody around the table, enjoying food and enjoying conversation. I think my favourite food would have to be Italian, but I love cooking a Sunday roast. I love like the whole process of cooking a Sunday roast. And for a special occasion, I think it has to be beef. Like a beef Wellington, I think would probably be my kind of favourite special occasion meal. As a young adult, I would love to know how you coped through hard times as a teenager. Oh, Ophelia. Gosh, I found my teenage years quite turbulent. There was a lot going on with my parents, and they weren't easy. They weren't easy at all. And I think actually exercise. I had a really good friend that I used to work out with in the gym at school. And there were times, I have Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, there were times when I couldn't run. But when I could run, I found that a really great sense of relief. I found I got a lot of my stress out through exercise and running and sport, and that for me helped clear my head and helped me feel better. And I've always found exercise a kind of great way, even if it's just going for a long, brisk walk. You always feel better for it. I think having a great friend to talk to, don't bottle things up, share a problem. A problem shared is a problem halved. I think those would be my best advice. And be yourself. Be true to yourself and be true to what feels right for you. Don't try and be something to please other people. Be yourself and be proud of who you are. I think is really important. Have you ever considered an Aga cookbook? Yes, I would really, really, really love to write a book. I've got actually a series of books in my head that I would like to write, and I am hoping that that something will happen this year. Whether I don't know. I would love to get a book deal. Or whether I self-publish, I don't know. We will see, but that is something that I am dreaming about. Not a question, but thanks so much for the practical how-tos. This is why I originally followed you. Thank you, Philippa. That's lovely of you to say. Can you tell us what you use on your hair? Shall I do a separate hair video? Shall we do that? I'm going to do that as a separate thing, Rachel, because I think that would be easier. And actually, I've just been sent some new products, which I'm trying out. So I'm going to try those out and let you know what I think, because they are designed for volume. So I will keep you posted on that. Hi, Charlie. I love your channel and your content. How hard was it to make the decision to downsize? I think Simon and I had been looking for a number of years to make a change and to make life less stressful. And we didn't know how that was going to look, and we didn't know how it was going to be. And we explored various options and various avenues, and they didn't feel right. And then this was available. And I had always loved this house. I have known about this property for quite a few years, 12, 13 years at least. When I broke my shoulder blade, I was actually rescued from just out there. And I've always thought, wow, it is the most dreamy location and such a beautiful property. And so when it was available, it just seemed, and it was right at the right time, it just seemed like it was meant to be. And so that made it a lot easier. But we had been looking for a number of years to make a change. We had talked about moving down to Devon, to my mother's house, but it didn't feel right for us. We love Sussex. We're very happy here. And this was a perfect opportunity at the right time. Hello, Charlie. May I ask, how did you manage raising 3 young children almost at the same time? It was crazy. But I actually had Rachel, our amazing nanny, and we employed Rachel when I found out I was pregnant with Gus. And when I found out I was pregnant with Gus, we had just got planning permission to rebuild our house. And we were moving out for 6 months, which actually turned out to be a year. And I knew that I couldn't manage the building project. Simon and I were managing the project. We had an architect, but I was, we were doing it together. I had a little bit of interior design advice from a friend, but we were on site every single day. Simon was running his business, and I had 2 babies, and I was pregnant. So there were 2.5 years between the 3 children, and Rachel came into our lives. So Monday to Friday, I had an extra pair of hands, which was amazing because we don't have, both Simon's parents have died. His sister lives a long way away. My brother lives abroad, and mum's health wasn't great when the children were little, and she died. I'm trying to think. She died in 2016, so a while ago, and the children were quite little. So we needed an extra pair of hands, and Rachel was absolutely amazing. So yeah, having a nanny. And then when Rachel left, we had au pairs for a little while um, until I didn't need any help anymore. And I think we had au pairs because of the horses. We've always had horses. We've always kept them at home. And the au pairs and I would do the horses together. And then there was either them or me looking after the children while the other one was doing the horses. Simon used to travel a lot with work. He still travels a little bit, but he used to travel an awful lot. That fire's getting going. So that is how we managed it. What are your goals for the coming year? I've just mentioned I would love to pursue my ideas for the books. I have got cookery books and a couple of other books that I would love to write. So that is my main thing. And yeah, we will see. There are a few other things in the pipeline, but that's the main thing. What do you use to make your skin glow? You always look amazing with or without makeup on. Oh, thanks, Em. That's very sweet of you to say. I think lots of fresh air. I drink a lot of water. I don't drink very much alcohol. I cleanse every single night. I use my Dr. Dennis Gross mask every single night. It's just 3 minutes, so it's really quick and easy to do in my routine. I think vitamin C serum is crucial and a really good moisturiser. But I think lots of fresh air, lots of water, and always wear SPF. I wear SPF 50 every single day, and that has made a big difference. How did you meet Si? Through work. I worked for a property company in London. It's a Georgian being noisy. I worked for a property company in London on Royal Hospital Road, and Simon knew my boss. He was friends with my boss, and he came into the office. That's the short version of how we met. What was your childhood like? I love your channel. Oh, Georgie. My childhood was amazing and awful at the same time. My parents gave us everything. We had so many opportunities, from skiing to water skiing to sailing to riding to canoeing to mountaineering to all sorts. They were brilliant, but it wasn't a very happy home. My father he died a year ago. He was very, very academic. He was on the spectrum, and he became angry and frustrated, and it became impossible to live with him. So that made it very difficult. But it was wonderful at the same time. Well, not at the same time. It was wonderful when I was younger. So there were aspects of my childhood that were absolutely incredible, and then there was a very, very dark, difficult side, which I have talked about in previous videos, and I can link a few of those down in the description of this video if you want to find out more. But yeah, it was interesting, very interesting. Do you still have Billy the tortoise? We haven't seen him since you moved. Annabelle, you have? Well, I have shared him since we moved. He's currently in hibernation. He will be out of hibernation when it warms up, probably in March. He has the entire walled garden to himself, and he has the run of it, which is really lovely. At our old house, we didn't have a secure area for him, so he just had a fenced off area in the garden, whereas here he has free rein, which is absolutely perfect. And yeah, he is currently in hibernation, and he will be out in the spring. Oh my goodness, there are still so many questions. I am going to do 2 more pages, and then let me know if you'd like a part 2. With children under the age of 7, do you feel it gets easier as they get older? Oh, Julie, I'd love to say it gets easier. It does in some ways get a lot easier, but it also, you can hear my two, they're running around and shrieking. Two of them are, anyway. Does it get easier? It's different. There are different needs, and it's possibly less intense, possibly less tired. But I think as a parent, you will always worry, and there'll always be something. So it gets easier, but it's sort of not, but different. That probably doesn't fill you with much hope. When you're in the thick of it and in the trenches, it's really tough, but it definitely does get easier. But I do miss them all going to bed at 7 p.m. and having my evenings. But now they get up later, so I have my mornings. So it swings and roundabouts. There are kind of pros and cons to the different ages and the different phases, but they're great fun. And you've just probably, I don't know if you could hear them shrieking and running around and having fun, and that's age 15 and 13. How do you feel now? I struggle with the chaotic and uncontrollable life feelings. Oh, it's hard. It is hard. And I think routine really helped me with that out of control feeling. And I think, yeah, routine, structure, and someone's just shouting, Mama, back with you in a tick. You see? There's always something. But yes, I think routine, structure, planning ahead, meal planning. Do you meal plan? Do you plan ahead food? Because I think that is a big one where you can batch cook and plan the meals ahead, and that definitely takes a huge stress away. I found that really helpful. And did you feel like a different mother/person homemaker back then too? I've always felt like a homemaker. Ever since I was in my 20s, I think that's just the way I am. I worked as a nanny and I absolutely loved it. I loved cooking for them. I loved doing their ironing. I loved putting their clothes away. I loved bath time. I loved brushing their hair. I loved doing their packed lunches for school. So I think that is just the way I am. I've always loved nurturing. I think that is just me. Are you friends with everyone type of person, or are you quite selective? The older I've got, the more selective I've got, and I have some really, really wonderful friends. But I definitely have got more selective, and I've definitely, I think when you're going through challenging times, and obviously we have been through some challenging times recently, you find out who your true friends are, and they are the ones that stick by you and support you and don't judge and love you for who you are, not what you've got. So certainly you find out who your friends are going through challenging times. And so I think that has made me more selective about who I really open up to. And I'm really lucky that I have got some amazing, great friends. And yeah, I'm very, very grateful to them. And if they're watching, they know who they are. Do you ever feel uneasy about sharing your life so publicly on social media? Yes and no, Julie. I mean, obviously, I choose what I share. So there's a lot that I don't share. There's a lot I keep back. There's a lot that goes on behind the scenes that is totally, totally private. But I also feel, and I've shared this many times before, that when I was going through my really difficult times with my parents, that I felt that I was going through that so one day I could help other people. And I think me being as honest and as open as I can about real life and the ups and downs and the trials and tribulations, if I share that and it helps other people, then that for me is what I'm doing, what I do is all about. Does that make sense? I haven't worded that properly, but hopefully that makes sense. That's my why, is to help others by being honest and open. And I only share things when I am in a place that I can comfortably share stuff. And so I do have an amazing therapist, and I do talk things through with her before I share them publicly. And for me, that's really important, because I've got to share from a place where I'm okay about what I'm sharing. But I do keep stuff back, and sometimes I think when there's negative comments, and there are those keyboard warriors who don't think before they write, and there are people that would never ever think of saying what they write in a comment, or on a YouTube video, or on a TikTok video, or whatever. They write things that I don't believe they would say to my face. And those people, I would love them to think before they type things, and think, how would I feel if somebody asked me that? That used to be hurtful, and I have had to learn to develop quite a thick skin about that, and not take it personally. And people writing these comments don't know me, so I can't take their comments to heart. If it is a friend saying something to me, then I can take that, seriously. But if it's somebody that is just making an assumption, that they don't know me and they're just making an assumption, and I can't take that personally. So that's kind of how I deal with that one. How do you maintain a positive relationship with social media? I think actually me answering the previous question, I think that is, again, how I do it. And I also make sure that it isn't all consuming, and that I will put my phone down, I will put my phone away, and I will reply when it suits me to reply. I can't be, there answering questions all the time. For me, family comes first, always, 100% of the time, and then everything else fits in. And I'm very lucky that I work for myself, I work from home, and I can fit what I do around family life. And for me, that's really, really important. I'm going to end the Q&A here. Please let me know if you would like part 2, because there are a lot more questions, but I don't want this to get a really long video and you'd be like, oh goodness, this is boring. So let me know if you would like part 2, and I can bring that for you next week. But thank you so much for your questions. I hope that you have found my answers interesting. I hope you've enjoyed the Q&A. If you have, give this video a thumbs up. Drop me a comment down below if you would like part 2, as I've already said. And I look forward to seeing you on Friday with this week's vlog, and sharing Miss Molly's arrival with you all, and what we have got up to this week. It's quite a lot of horsing around, but I'm also doing something very, very exciting on Wednesday, which I will be sharing with you. So I'm looking forward to filming that and bringing that for you. So I will see you on Friday, I hope. And in the meantime, have a super week, and thanks for tuning in.